And we're back. Sorry, I needed an extra 30 seconds, so you got 2 films there for the price of 1. But you'll be pleased to know I've eaten a banana and I've opened the grapes. So, coming up next, Sophia has been incredibly patient. I'm joined by Sophia and Raysa, and hopefully Hannah Hussain should be joining us unless she's having technical problems. I'm going to shut up and eat grapes while you introduce.
Enjoy your grapes, Adam. You deserve it.
Well, we're only 2.5 hours in. I feel like a bit of a wimp if I'm already having to eat grapes. Raysa, why don't you introduce yourself briefly, and then Sophia, you do the same.
Okay, so hello, I'm Raysa Zein. I'm a doctor of nutrition. I work on nutrition and dementia, looking into dietary interventions that can help reduce the risk of dementia in older age. Did my PhD in Bournemouth University, which is where most of my research is from, and I'm currently working in Exeter University.
Well, hi. So I do know Raysa, so it's nice to be together with Raysa on the panel today. My name is Sophia. I'm a registered nutritionist, and I'm currently a postdoc research fellow at Bournemouth University, working with the Aging and Dementia Research Center. So hence why I know Raysa very well.
And that's more through look than design. I didn't know that did you see that you were both on the agenda at the same time?
When we checked the email invite, I was like, oh, I didn't know you're doing that.
That's great. And we've got Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Thank you for joining us. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Hannah. I'm currently a 3rd-year PhD candidate at the University of Sheffield. So my research is interested in how to optimize measuring quality of life in dementia populations for use in economic evaluations.
And there we go. You can't see this, but we've now got a lovely caption that says what we're here to talk about. So we're going to talk about a diet for the brain and measuring quality of life. And what we're going to do is we're going to start by going around and asking our 3 researchers to talk about their work for a few minutes. So who'd like to go first? Hands up, who'd like to go first? If you don't volunteer, I'm going to pick on you. Hannah, you were late. You were late, so you're going first. So you get to
The reason I was late was because I kept joining as like an attendee as opposed to a panelist. So I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" So yeah, I'll make up for it.
We've had our technical problems. We aren't going to have any more today.
Okay, that's good. Let's get them out of the way.
Go on,
so
Hannah,
my research is, like I just said, it's on measuring quality of life for use in economic evaluations. So in the UK, we use cost utility analyses when we're estimating the cost effectiveness of interventions for use in the NHS. As a result, the metric that we use to measure whether an intervention is cost effective is a QALY. So that's a quality adjusted life year. It combines both quality and quantity of life achieved by an intervention. So my research is focusing on that very niche aspect of measuring quality of life in dementia populations. So the NICE recommends a particular generic measure, the EQ5D. So far, I've been able to demonstrate that it's feasible and reliable in dementia populations. It corresponds to dementia progression and is able to capture the key aspects that are important to health-related quality of life in dementia. Of course, there are dementia-specific measures which are slightly different. But in order to allow for comparability across interventions, we'd like to use something generic. So what I'm trying to do is work out who is the best person to ask, because there's a very large reliance on using proxies, carers, healthcare workers to assess on behalf of people with dementia. But, I think it's fundamental to ensure that the person living with dementia is central in the discussion around their own health. But of course, we have to be aware and we have to recognise that there are cognitive deficits that occur at particular stages where this may no longer be reliable. My aim is to work out if there's a way of methodologically combining assessments so that both parties' informations are both being respected and both being utilised when estimating quality of life. So that's me.
And then by estimating quality of life, it allows you to then look at the value of the interventions to see whether you improved it from pre and post the intervention that you plan to do, which hopefully gives the health service or the GP surgery or whoever's buying that service the evidence they need to support doing it. Is that right? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, exactly. So because it's my research is rooted in health economics, there's various sides to this that will be combined essentially. So this is just one part. This is the estimation of quality of life. Another side of it will be costing interventions, and it may not even necessarily be new interventions. We can use this type of analysis to compare various existing interventions, and they don't even necessarily need to be pharmacological. It's just how practices are done in the UK and other countries in order to make sure that we're utilising the resources that we have available in the best way possible.
Thank you. Sophia, because I've got a great feeling this is all going to come together really nicely. Sophia, tell us about your work.
So I currently have a few different projects going on. The one that is closest and dearest to my heart is the Healthy Brain, Healthy Life project, which is a public engagement project funded by Alzheimer's Research UK, and hence why I'm here, another reason to be here. And it's basically to create dialogue with minority ethnic communities around dementia risk. And it's exciting that we do have some treatment, in the news this week. It was all about treatment for Alzheimer's, but my passion is for prevention, coming from a nutrition background. And I think it's really critical that people from minority ethnic communities realize that their risk in the first place, but also have somewhere to go for information on dementia, but also become involved in dementia research. Because if we don't become involved in dementia research, there's going to be lots of research that will be done, but there won't be data that will be available to make decisions about us and what we need and what our risks are, how dementia presents itself, etc. So that was the main remit of the public engagement. And building on that, we had great attendance and we put in a bid for another funding. So we are just starting research to understand how people from minority ethnic communities understand their risk for dementia and the link between lifestyle factors and dementia risk in people from these communities. I also do some work with the University Hospitals Dorset, where we run a lifestyle intervention for people who have been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. So currently within the UK, there's that if you're diagnosed with MCI, you are just basically left to go home until it declines and you come back. So this is a great initiative to get people thinking, well, I don't have to progress to dementia. I still can do something about it. So it's very exciting to do this project. Yeah.
So I've got so many questions off the back of what you said. So what do we know about how certain people are more at risk than others? I mean, I think there's been lots published about women being more affected dementia than men, but also as well recently from the US, there's more about how Black men are more likely to do this. Do we know anything more about why certain people are more at risk than others? Or is that back to those trials from earlier?
Black and ethnic minorities have a higher risk of especially vascular dementia because we are predisposed to hypertension and diabetes, all those other risk factors. But also that early onset dementia is prevalent in these communities. But it's quite hard because when you don't know how people think about what their lifestyle factors, how their lifestyle factors might affect their risk, or in my community, for example, a lot of people might ascribe, dementia to just aging or maybe spiritual factors, or sometimes because of how it presents itself, they might be referred to mental health services instead of dementia services. And then the cognitive tests, those diagnostic services are not very tailored. So they may be misdiagnosed, and maybe by the time they are diagnosed, it has progressed so quickly, and mortality rates might be quite high because the disease has just progressed. So it's just important to, work together with these communities because there isn't enough data at all. There are a few studies and reports here and there, but nothing concrete.
And that's where you can't only rely, I'm guessing, on the economic arguments, because I guess some of the populations and people we're talking about are so in the minority in a certain place that the amount you'd have to spend on doing those brain health initiatives or awareness campaigns aren't necessarily going to pay back if you're looking for big populations, but which is why you can't just look at what the service costs, it's what doing the right thing is. I'm guessing. Right, Raysa, tell us about your work. I'll bring you in.
Yeah, so my work looks into dietary interventions to reduce the risk of dementia. So as a nutritionist as well, I have to say, a bit more about prevention, because at the moment, as long as we don't know the cause of dementia, there's a lot of research, there's a lot of theories around it. But as long as we don't know what causes it, it's really hard to look at treatments or even prevention. One of the major theories that's been coming up within the past 8 to 10 years, I have to say, is looking into the loss of ability of the brain and neurons in the brain to absorb and use glucose. So what happens is the neurons in the brain starve. Slowly, they lose their ability to function and thus start dying, which causes this cognitive impairment, loss of memory as we normally age. And that's because the human brain by itself starts losing its ability to use glucose as we age. It's normal. So what we've been looking into was the use of ketones, which are a backup fuel used by the body. They are available in some sources of food by consuming specific fatty acids. The body releases ketones and these can be used by the neurons. So the brain of an 80-year-old uses ketones the same way that the brain of a 10-year-old would. However, for glucose, the brain of an 80-year-old would use around 25 to 30% less than a child. So what we've been doing is trying to induce dietary ketosis in the body, so the body can release more ketones and see if that impacts cognitive impairment, the loss of memory in older adults. There's, as I said, multiple sources to induce that dietary ketosis. There's multiple studies that use different methods. As a nutritionist who believes in food first, I looked into using coconut oil because it's the only available food in nature that has that fatty acids, the medium chain, that can increase ketones in the body. So I did a feasibility pilot study looking into that in the community in older adults and people with mild cognitive impairment, because when we're talking about prevention, we need to be looking at people at the earliest stages. And as I said, because it's something that happens with age, so targeting older adults before there's any diagnosis means we're targeting them before there's any neuronal damage, because we're not aiming at reviving the neurons, we're aiming at preventing the damage.
Yeah.
And I looked into the feasibility of it, getting people to consume the oil, especially in the UK where the community is not used to, especially when you're looking at older adults. Sometimes changing dietary behaviors is hard. We looked into it and the results were very interesting. At the moment, a couple of publications will be coming out soon about it. And what we saw is there was improvement in some aspects of verbal memory, so remembering words and such things in older adults and in some people with mild cognitive impairment who, in the end of the study, after consuming coconut oil for 6 months, had said to me, and that was a shock, was, I forgot I had MCI. And that's changed their life. So,
and this is the thing. I think there's this challenge, isn't there? Then you mentioned that you've got a couple of publications. Is translating those publications to. So we're streaming this on Facebook Live, and we promoted this a lot amongst dementia Facebook groups, kind of support groups and carer groups and things like that. And you often read these things on there, and so many people kind of look at those and go, it's just all nonsense, isn't it? It's you should take coconut. I think it's really important that not only are those publications come out, but people hear you talking about that as a real researcher with real qualifications from a UK university talking about that. So it's not just people know that this isn't some quack remedy, that it's important that we get that evidence out there, particularly when you're looking at things that on the face of it, like coconut oil. Some people are going to take one look at that and go, coconut oil. And then if I drink 20 glasses of wine a day, that's going to help me too, isn't it? It's particularly with these nutrition kind of research studies. I think that's the problem, because they're often the ones that will make the news. So do tell us. Sorry, I know you were desperate to come back. I have a question about what is ketosis, which I think is, can you tell me what is ketosis in really quick time?
Okay, so ketosis is when the body starts breaking down fat. Ketones are the byproduct of this breaking down of fat that enter through the Krebs cycle in the body. I'm not going to go into details about that, but there's some fats, especially medium chain triglycerides or any fat that your body breaks down. So let's say if a body goes into starvation, you're somewhere, you cannot get any food. We all know that the body starts breaking down the fat in it to sustain itself.
So it's moving your body from burning the glucose and the food you eat daily to living off the fat you already have, which is obviously, I imagine, a lot less risky if you have a good amount of weight to start with rather than somebody who doesn't. No?
The thing is, it depends, because what we do when we're providing specific kinds of fat in the diet, it means we're just increasing ketosis without relying on the body's stores of fat.
So there's different ways to think about ketosis in terms of diet to do, not just as a way to lose weight, which is often what we hear about ketosis as though it's something that is
the ketogenic diet, to be honest, the one that is used to lose weight, has been looked at into dementia a lot. There's been multiple trials on it. The main problem, though, they had is older adults find it really hard to sustain a ketogenic diet. I tried it once and I couldn't maintain it for more than 10 days without bread and pasta, and it's just not sustainable. And
I did it for 6 months. I did it for 6 months when I was on. I need to do it again because I'm overweight. But so that's ketosis, and then there's different ways to think of it in terms of eating the fats that you want to immediately consume that won't gain.
Exactly.
weight.
So there's some type of fat, the medium chain triglycerides. Once they are absorbed in your body, they're broken down and they release ketones without having to go through the proper ketosis process.
I see.
And these are the fats in coconut oil.
This is anybody who's watching on Facebook or YouTube. This is a great panel to ask your questions to. Anything we've got, we have here a registered nutritionist, a nutrition expert, and somebody who's becoming an expert on health economics, and a pharmacist. We should add as well, shouldn't we? And pharmacists get asked all these questions all the time because, let's face it, the go-to in the UK now is if you've got anything wrong with you, go ask your pharmacist. So Hannah's a community pharmacist as well, so we'll be able to contribute to that discussion. So do post your questions in the chat box there. What should we be eating? This is a question that comes up all too often. It's going to come up post-diagnosis. What should we be eating? And does this change over time? I mean, what dietary advice would we give to somebody who's, say, in middle age, mentioning no names, compared to somebody who's perhaps a little bit older or who has a diagnosis? Sophia, why don't you go first? Let's bring you back in.
I'll try. So I come from a place in nutrition where I have the feeling that, or the thought that people need to enjoy their food, and our dietary needs change as we grow. They change with our conditions, different conditions and what you need to eat. So there's generally not, I won't pinpoint one food as the magic bullet to a healthy diet, but I would recommend a balanced diet, that is diverse, that covers most of our nutrition needs. And your nutrition needs will be varied, depending on what stage of life you are in. So it's helpful, to follow like the general recommendation, but also then if you need, because of a certain condition or a certain life stage, to get proper nutrition advice, rather than, just following, because with nutrition, there's so much contradictory information on, broccoli is the thing that is going to do it for you.
You've done an amazing job of not committing. Well done. I'm gonna go to Raysa and see if Raysa is more willing to hang her reputation on the line by telling us that we should move to a plant-based diet, which I know lots of people would tell you to do.
I believe in moderation and a colorful plate. So if you look at your plate and you only see one color, whether it's just green, just white, just gray, something is not right.
What about beige? What do we think about beige?
That's still wrong. It needs to be colorful, Adam. You need to see greens and reds and oranges and multiple colors. That's when you know your plate is healthy. Yes, your grapes are very healthy. Well done. And on the banana as well. Really well done. So healthy moderation food, as Sophia also said, we need to enjoy our food. Unfortunately now with the advice around nutrition, a lot of people think of restrictive diets, which do nobody no good.
I think people are genuinely confused. I think it's a bit like the pandemic with the instructions. I think there's genuinely so much contradictory advice out there. But when it comes to it, you look at your plate, whether what you're eating is bad or not. It's kind of fundamentally, nobody's going to tell you shouldn't eat a roast dinner.
I love roast
But
dinner.
you shouldn't have a roast dinner every day, right? You shouldn't have bacon sandwiches every day. And I'm going to completely qualify that by saying, of course, there are always people with very specific diet issues who might not be able to have a roast dinner. If you have super high cholesterol and you're being advised on what certain foods you should have, you should take the advice of your medical professional.
Yeah. But a roast dinner is a very colorful plate. Just adding that.
What comes up on these things? Because I guess the other thing is about what foods you can eat with certain medicines when you get people coming in and who are on certain treatments. How do medicines affect that as well?
Oh, sorry. There's certain medications that certain things are interact with. So it depends what the person is on. One of the ones that springs to mind is grapefruit, which can impact the metabolism of a lot of different drugs. But then there's also other things to consider, maybe wider in the nutrition community, like supplements, natural herbal remedies, certain vitamins that can encourage or discourage the absorption of certain things. So I think, there's just like a wider conversation that needs to be had. But generally, like the same as what you guys are saying, having a balanced and healthy diet, lots of color, that's kind of the same advice that I would be giving in the pharmacy if anyone came to me. And obviously there's other things that maybe aren't necessarily naturally associated, but kind of link in when we give lifestyle advice at a community pharmacy level, which are have a healthy diet, but also things like smoking cessation and other lifestyle factors that kind of play into that.
We have had a question, which you won't be able to see, but I'll flag up on the screen for the people watching at home. Is it true that food may taste bland for people who are living with dementia? And if so, is there a particular way that this can be fixed? We do hear this, don't we? Because we know that I've talked to Wendy Mitchell before, the wonderful Wendy Mitchell, who you'll find on Twitter, who's talked about she used to drink tea and now can't drink tea anymore. Do we know anything about this? Why does the brain change on what your appetite?
Sensory changes that happen with dementia. Unfortunately, people with dementia lose some of their senses, especially sense of smell, sense of taste gets impacted, sometimes touch, and then the texture. If you cannot taste anything, and if anybody watching this had COVID, you'd understand when you lost that sense of taste and smell during COVID, food meant nothing. And that meant that you were not enjoying what you were consuming, and that's why it was.
So to answer the question then, are there specific foods that somebody living with dementia might be more likely to address this issue? Are there some things that you would recommend they try, or is it just a case of experimenting?
Sophia, do you want to take that or?
Yeah, so Sophia, you're the nutritionist.
I'm a nutritionist too.
Oh, are you sorry? I'm sorry. I didn't get that in your bio. Are you registered though?
Yeah.
Okay.
We are both registered nutritionists and hold PhDs in nutrition. Yeah, I think with that, like Raysa was saying, it might be more of experimenting to see what works for you. Because our taste preferences are different, our foods that we like are different. So it might be worth, trying a few different things to just see what works best for you.
So there's no magic fix, but I guess one piece of advice is just because somebody didn't like something before they were diagnosed, don't just assume that that's something that they won't like now. Like if somebody always hated, I don't know, something like Marmite or Sprouts or fish, they might still hate it, but it might be worth trying because you never know. People's tastes really do change. It's very bizarre, but I know people's tastes do change following diagnosis.
Yeah, and just plugging this in for the person who asked that question, there is a very good workbook that was created by Professor Jane Murphy in Bournemouth University, looking into that nutrition intake with people with dementia. It's available for free on Bournemouth University website. If you go search for it, it literally can help you go through tips and advices on how to test what works best for the patient, because it's very individualized.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for now. Our next guests are sat in the green room, very patiently waiting. Raysa, so for anybody who's interested in knowing more about our guests or their work, you'll find details of them on our chatathon.uk website, and go to the guests link at the top. And every one of them has given a link to their Twitter feeds, for example. So Raysa, maybe if you tweet a link to that workbook or post it in the chat on YouTube when you've left, we're very happy to share that with you. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you for having us, and thank you for the amazing work you're doing.
That's all right. Thank you, Sophia, Raysa, and Hannah. Hannah's also a blogger on the Dementia Researcher website, talks about her work and careers. Go to Dementia Researcher at NIHR.ac.uk. and you'll find her blogs there every month as well. Thank you ever so much, and I'll see you all again soon. So
thank you.
It's 12 o'clock. We're a quarter of the way through today's live stream, which is a great opportunity for me to remind you that we're not only are we sharing research today, but a big point of this is to raise money for 4 amazing charities: Race Against Dementia, Alzheimer's Research UK and Alzheimer's Society, and the Lewy Body Society. I've said that before. Anyway, those 4 charities will equally share everything that you donate to us today. They're 4 amazing charities who fund research across the UK and do so much more than just fund research as well. They raise awareness, they provide support for communities and people living with dementia, for early career researchers, and every pound can go a long way, particularly at the moment when we know things are tight. Even a small amount would really help. And if you can't afford to give anything, do consider signing up to join Dementia Research, or have a look at the charities' websites as well. I'll mention one of them now. lewibody.org has lots of different ways that you could volunteer or do your own fundraising thing. I'm sure more live streams like this, or running a marathon or something, will be greatly received. Okay, I'm not going to play a film at the top of the hour, 12 o'clock. Actually, I am. I need to top up my water, so I'm going to play that briefly, and then as soon as the film's finished, Clarissa, Kat and Nathan are going to be joining me to talk about dealing with health inequalities and helping after a diagnosis. So I'm just going to play that film for you very quickly now.
Race Against Dementia supports early career scientists in their research around the world. Our scientists are supported by the RAD Leadership and Development Programme. That's interesting to hear that from you.
Race Against Dementia is going about it the right way, invested in new talent. I think there's a lot that we could learn. Being hungry for change is the way to go.
Let's beat dementia together.